Good morning. I'm Charles MacKay, General Director of the Santa Fe Opera. Thank you for being here and welcome to our friends joining us on Facebook Live. And welcome to all of our friends from the press and media, members of the Board of Directors of the Opera, staff, guild members and volunteers, arts leaders from Santa Fe, and other special guests, including the chairman of the board of the opera, Susan Morris, and the president of the board of directors of the opera, Susan Marineau. Today we have updates about the 2018 season, and of course the announcement of the repertory for 2019. And to get us started, we turn to our board president, Susan Marineau. Sue?
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us here this morning, both here in person and virtually. Though there will be many opportunities for us all to thank Charles MacKay for his service to the Santa Fe Opera in his last season as general director, I thought it appropriate that I take a few moments to honor his decade-long contribution to this company. Charles has given this company financial discipline, artistic excellence to be sure, a culture of trust and collegiality, not to mention renovated offices, new patron amenities, new rehearsal spaces, and state-of-the-art backstage facilities. It is truly an astounding legacy of accomplishment, and we are deeply grateful, Charles. I'd also like to give a brief report on behalf of the Board of Directors. I am thrilled to announce we have achieved our $45 million goal in our Setting the Stage campaign. There is just a little over $1 million left to raise toward our $38 million cash goal. We hope to achieve this in part through our ongoing seat naming campaign, which has so far amassed over $1 million. We look forward in a future season to acknowledge these donors electronically through a new seatback title system, which is currently under development. Continuous thanks is due to all of our supporters, those who have given directly to the campaign, through planned gifts specifically designated toward the legacy of our theater, or through the dedication of a seat. Additionally, I salute our campaign chairman, Susan Morris, and co-chairman, Chuck Moore, excuse me. They're not brother and sister. Thanks to friends across the country, we have established the Charles MacKay Fund for Debut Artists, with a goal of raising $1 million to sustain in perpetuity Charles' extraordinary legacy of providing debut opportunities to singers, conductors, directors, designers, and choreographers at the Santa Fe Opera. To date, $785,000 has been raised through the gala last month in New York at the Metropolitan Club and through gifts directly to the fund. We will all have an opportunity to celebrate Charles on the final night of the season, Saturday, August 25th. The finale performance of Candide also marks the 100th birthday of Leonard Bernstein. This will be a festive evening, and information will soon be available on this evening on our website. Finally, and on behalf of the board, I thank the untiring diligence of my fellow board members on the search committee, Susan Morris, Sarah Billinghurst-Solomon, Peter Townsend, and Chuck Moore, who reviewed and interviewed an incredibly talented pool of candidates for the next general director of the Santa Fe Opera. Robert Meya is the best qualified successor to the legacy set before him by John Crosby, Richard Gaddis, and Charles MacKay. The Santa Fe Opera Board of Directors looks forward to the bright future ahead in the trusted hands of Robert Meya, with his appointment of our first artistic director, Alexander Neef, and music director, Harry Bickett. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing all of you at our season opening night on June 29th with Bernstein's Candide and throughout the fabulous season that lies ahead.
Thank you so much, Sue, for those kind and generous words. We commend you for your superb leadership as you embark on your 4th season as president of the opera, and we thank you for your stellar service for this organization. I, too, am delighted with the appointment of Robert Meya as the next general director of the Santa Fe Opera, and I wish him all of the success in the world. I'll begin with some brief updates on the coming season, which, as I said, opens just 51 days from today. A commercial recording of our 2017 world premiere, The Revolution of Steve Jobs by Mason Bates and Mark Campbell, will be released in mid-June, including a worldwide digital release that can be downloaded on many music services like Amazon and iTunes, and on streaming sites like Apple Music and Spotify. Of course, we will have the CDs available in our gift shop starting next month. Also available in our gift shop will be the handsome 2018 season poster by world-renowned artist Dan Nemingha, featuring Ottawee Bridge, the gateway to Los Alamos near San Ildefonso Pueblo, as it might have appeared at the time of the Manhattan Project. Dan Nemingha is present today, and we salute him upon the release of his 6th poster for the Santa Fe Opera. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. The response to our upcoming season has been very encouraging. Currently, ticket sales reflect a 26% increase over 2017, a 26% increase. All indications point to the highest ticket revenues in the company's history by the end of the summer. And as a reminder, order your tickets now for best availability and pricing. You may know that we've already added an extra performance of Candide on August 21st, and by the way, that performance has great seat availability. The 2018 Summer Gala will take place on August 4th and will feature the international star mezzo-soprano and native New Mexican Susan Graham. Don't miss it. Our social media collaboration with Simply Social Media will continue in 2018 with Instameets on 5 dress rehearsal nights. Last season, these events reached nearly 2.8 million people on Twitter and Instagram. Tech in the West 2018 is a symposium and series of events presented at the Lenzik Performing Arts Center, the New Mexico History Museum, and the Center for Contemporary Arts. We would like to extend a special thank you for her coordination of the series to Dr. Lois Rudnick. You'll find a full release on this exciting initiative and a schedule of events in your packets. If you came in from the north entrance today, you will have noticed that the Pueblo of Tesuqui's casino project on the former flea market site has made great progress. We are in regular communication with Pueblo leaders and believe that we are building an ever stronger relationship with our neighbors. We look forward to learning more about this project, which obviously is of great importance to the Santa Fe Opera. There are several casting updates for 2018 in a press release, which you will find in your packets and posted on the media lounge on our website. John Fiore returns as conductor for Madame Butterfly next season, or this season rather, and Matthew Ozawa will make his debut as stage director for the revival of Lee Blakely's acclaimed production of Puccini's masterpiece. There are a few other casting updates for the coming season, which you will also find in a release in your packets. In one bit of news, it turns out that due to an unforeseen conflict in tour performance dates with her own dance company, choreographer Lucinda Childs will not be coming to Santa Fe for Dr. Atomic. In her place, we are delighted to announce that Emily Johnson will be collaborating with stage director Peter Sellers as choreographer for our production. Emily is here today and will say a few words about the production. Originally from Alaska and a member of the Yupik Nation, Emily is a choreographer with credits in the US and abroad, working with indigenous populations and artists. She is also greatly involved in building acknowledgments of indigenous rights and territories. Please join me in welcoming Emily Johnson.
Thank you, Charles. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. And I would like to acknowledge and pay my respect to Tsuke people and elders and ancestors, past, present, and future. And I would like to acknowledge and offer my deep gratitude to Tsuke land and to the life that it has and does support, including the lives of those of us gathered here upon it right now. And I acknowledge every other Indigenous person here in the room, and I welcome everyone who is here to join me in those acknowledgements and in those offerings of respect and gratitude. And I also acknowledge that the Santa Fe Opera and the Tsuke Nation have a working relationship, and I acknowledge that those relationships can always grow and deepen, as Charles said, and I hope that this work that I'm doing here and the work that Dr. Atomic is doing here will be part of that deepening. And we have this opera to do, Dr. Atomic, and we have this story to tell of the 24 hours leading up to the first atomic bomb test. But we, and here I mean Peter Sellers and I, have the responsibility and honor to share more than that story, to first listen and learn, and then share more than that story. We have the responsibility and the honor to share the stories of the people and the land who were and have been continually affected by that test, by subsequent tests, and by the nuclear industry here. We are working with the Tularosa Basin downwinders and other downwinders in New Mexico who suffer extraordinarily high rates of death and cancer due to chemicals from the nuclear industry. We are working with many indigenous nations here. We are working with kids, with scientists and lab workers from Los Alamos. We are working with teachers and with people from the Nuclear Issues Study Group and other organizations who work to protect lives and land. And do I think that these stories are very, very powerful? Yes. And do I think that it's time to listen to and heed and make reconciliations based on these stories? Yes. Do I think it's time for us to generate change? Yes. Look at this moment of, this prescient moment, this actual nuclear threat that we have always been under since that first test, but perhaps we see a little more clearly right now. And perhaps maybe we can also see and listen to these stories more clearly, and perhaps we can also see and make the changes that we need to make together with more clarity now. And that's what I invite with Dr. Atomic. I invite a robust piece of artwork. I invite a robust time for healing, a robust time for gathering, and a robust time to generate change together. So thank you.
Thank you, Emily, for those inspiring words and for reminding us of the great importance of this opera, which we are about to produce. And as I said to Peter Sellers when I invited him to return to Santa Fe to stage this opera in a brand new production, producing Dr. Atomic in Santa Fe, New Mexico is unlike producing the opera anywhere else in the world. And so we thank you for your profound words and bringing that insight and perspective to the creation of our production. Thank you, Emily. And now for the announcement of our 2019 season. You have a full news release in your packets with all of the casting and production team details. So I'll give just the most basic highlights. The season will open with Puccini's beloved masterpiece, La Boheme. Last performed here in 2011, this will be a new production. Yadar Bignamini, who led our 2015 performances of Rigoletto to such acclaim, will be the conductor, and Mary Birnbaum will be making her Santa Fe Opera debut as stage director. The second production of the season will be The Pearl Fishers by Georges Bizet. Timothy Myers will make his company debut as conductor, and this will be a revival of Lee Blakely's acclaimed production from 2012. Tragically, Lee Blakely passed away last summer at the age of 45, but he leaves a legacy of two splendid productions for the Santa Fe Opera, Madame Butterfly, to be produced this summer, and The Pearl Fishers for next summer. The stage director for our revival will be Shauna Lucy, who will make her Santa Fe Opera debut this summer with L'Italiana in Algeri. Next in the lineup for 2019 will be one of the great Mozart da Ponte operas, Così fan tutte. It was last performed here in 2007, and this too will be a new production, conducted by Harry Bickett in his first assignment as our music director, and it will be directed by R.B. Schlatter in his company debut. Next will be a truly remarkable opera, a classic of the early 20th century, new to Santa Fe, Jenůfa by Leoš Janáček. It is a new production and a company premiere to be conducted by Johannes Debus in his Santa Fe Opera debut. And it will be directed by David Alden, remembered for his recent productions of Alcina and Maometto II. David Alden's staging of Jenůfa won the Laurence Olivier Award for Best New Opera Production when it premiered at the English National Opera. Although our director for next season's production of La Boheme, Mary Birnbaum, could not be with us today, she and her creative team were recently in Santa Fe to plan for their upcoming production. And here's a short video that Mary made during her visit to Santa Fe.
In thinking about La Boheme, which is about a group of people who are outside of societal norms or disenfranchised by society, it was really important to me to pick a team of people who had very different perspectives from each other. And so my team for this piece is comprised of Grace Laubacher, who's the set designer who I've worked with for a very long time, Camelia Koo, who's the costume designer, who this is our first project together. She's from Canada. And one soul man, Anshuman Bhatia, who's the lighting designer, who is another collaborator of mine from New York. Part of the interrogating of the piece that we're really interested in doing is figuring out who, a lot of times Boheme feels like, here are the four Bohemians and their girlfriends. And for us, as this is a time in Paris where the Parisians were obsessed with categorizing themselves, it was very important to figure out who the women would have been in this 1830s world. So thinking about Mimi as an archetypal grisette, which is a kind of woman who was usually a seamstress and always hung around artists and students and was kind of their muse, and expressed her sexuality in a transactional way, though not like a prostitute. And Musetta in this production will actually be more of a lorette, which was a type of woman that existed a little bit higher up in society, and who was able to straddle the line between wearing items that men would wear and wearing items that women would wear. So there's an androgynous play on how she can have more power by dressing like a man. This is a piece that I'm really excited to direct as a woman, because I think a lot of times the women are kind of relegated to symbolic status, and to treat them like people, and more importantly, people who have a whole journey towards and away from convention is really what I'm thrilled by.
Now it is a great pleasure to welcome my wonderful successor, Robert Meya, to tell us more about what's in store for the 2019 season. Robert?
Good morning. Thank you, Charles. I'm pleased to announce the Santa Fe Opera's 16th world premiere, The 13th Child, which will open on July 26, 2019. The 13th Child is the newest opera by Danish composer Paul Ruders, who may best be known for his opera The Handmaid's Tale, which had its world premiere in Copenhagen in 2000 and its US debut in 2003. The libretto is by David and Becky Starobin. It will be conducted by Paul Daniel in his Santa Fe Opera debut and directed by Tony Award-winning stage director Darko Trezniak, also in his Santa Fe Opera debut. We are delighted to announce today that this is a co-commission and co-production with the Odense Symphony Orchestra in Denmark, and that they plan to stage the production in Odense in 2020. We're also deeply grateful to David Henry Jacobs for generously providing production underwriting support. In February of this year, I traveled with Brad Wilbright, our Director of Artistic Administration, and Paul Horpedahl, our Director of Production and Facilities, for a long weekend to Denmark to meet with our friends at the Odense Symphony Orchestra, and to spend some time with the composer. It was a magical trip to the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen, who, while not the author of the fairy tale upon which this story is based, shares much in common with the brothers Grimm, who authored the original fable, The 12 Brothers. We're delighted that Paul Ruders is able to join us today with this brief video introducing his new opera, The 13th Child.
Hello, my name is Paul Ruders, and I am a Danish composer, and I have composed the opera The 13th Child. A fairy tale opera, or a fantasy, if you wish. I've written 4 operas prior to this one, but none of them based on a story from one of the classic fairy tales. It was the once upon a time element which drew me towards one of the lesser known stories from the Brothers Grimm collection, The 12 Brothers. My 2 librettists, David and Becky Starobin, and yours truly, decided to go for a slightly more alluring title, The 13th Child, a title promising mystery and adventure. I must say that I am beyond thrilled and honored to have my piece presented and premiered at such a famous and innovative venue such as the Santa Fe Opera. Asked what I'm looking forward the most, it must be arriving at the first full dress rehearsal, watching the whole thing come to life right before my eyes. Thank you very much.
I am also delighted to announce that Renee Fleming will make her Santa Fe Opera debut in the 2019 season with Letters from Georgia by Pulitzer Prize winning composer Kevin Putz. This performance will take place on one evening only, August 10th, and will showcase the wonderful Santa Fe Opera Orchestra on stage with Harry Picot conducting. The program will also feature Richard Strauss's beloved Four Last Songs, which was last performed by the Santa Fe Opera Orchestra in 2003 at the memorial service of our founder, John Crosby. Winner of the 2012 Pulitzer Prize for his opera Silent Night, Kevin Putz has been hailed as one of the most important composers of his generation. A recent review of Letters from Georgia stated that Putz goes inside the words to find his matching notes and phrases. With Fleming as his interpreter, he takes us inside O'Keeffe's heart and soul. We are particularly pleased to be presenting this new piece in New Mexico, where O'Keeffe lived between 1934 and her death in 1986. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce two short videos. As many of you know, beginning on October 1st, I will be joined by two of the most talented individuals in the opera world today, our new artistic director, Alexander Neef, and music director, Harry Picot. Unfortunately, they could not be present with us today, but send their own personal greetings from Toronto, where Alexander is general director of the Canadian Opera Company, and Cincinnati, where Harry was recently conducting.
Hello, I'm Alexander Neef. I'm really excited to join the Santa Fe Opera as artistic director. When Robert Meya first approached me, I was so incredibly honored to be asked to become part of the Santa Fe Opera. Robert and I are approximately the same age, and I think we're both part of a new generation of leadership in the operatic sector, and we're trying to figure out what the new models for leadership are, what will ensure the success of opera companies moving forward. Harry Picot and I have been working together for, I want to say, more than 10 years, and he's conducted here in Toronto a couple of times. I've been with the Canadian Opera Company as General Director for 10 years now, and this new role with the Santa Fe Opera is going to afford me the opportunity to return to my roots. I trained as a casting director and artistic administrator in Salzburg and Paris, and I'm really excited to reconnecting with the beginnings of my career. COC is the largest producer of opera in Canada by far, and the association to the largest producer of summer opera in the US makes so much sense for so many reasons. I think there's going to be an opportunity for a lot of synergies on many levels, and on the leadership level in a more philosophical way maybe, but also in terms of very specific collaborations on new work, on talent development, on simple co-productions. And I look forward to exploring that, really how we can together maximize the potential of interesting art and artists. There's really no place for opera like Santa Fe. I really distinctly remember my first visit in the summer of 2009, and I didn't know where I was coming to. It had been recommended to me as a very special place, and I was truly blown away by the sheer physical power. It does make it one of the most special places for opera in the world. There's nothing like it anywhere.
Hi, I'm Harry Picot, and I'm the music director of the Santa Fe Opera. I first came to the Santa Fe Opera in 2004 to conduct Handel's Agrippina. I had no idea what I was coming to. People had told me it was a wonderful place, but I mean, an opera house in the middle of the desert in New Mexico was not something I ever expected to be involved in. But like most people who come to Santa Fe, once you've come, you never want to leave. I was appointed as chief conductor in 2013, and then this year, 2018, I've been appointed music director, which is something I'm absolutely thrilled about. The first job I had in opera was at English National Opera, where there was a similar kind of setup in terms of the management. A general manager, a director of productions, and a music director. And I always was very interested in how that relationship worked, because basically you had three people who were all experts in their own field. So you had people only doing the things they were very, very good at. And it seemed to me like a perfect balance. And so I'm very happy that Santa Fe Opera has chosen to go down this route. Robert, of course, I've known for a number of years in his role at the Santa Fe Opera, an essential part of our work there in terms of fundraising. Alexander I know from Canadian Opera and is a wonderful colleague, and we worked a lot artistically together. And I think the three of us are really a great team to move the company forward after the wonderful years of Charles MacKay's tenure.
I'd like now to introduce Andrea Walters, Director of Education and Community Programs, to share some updates about our Opera for All Voices program. Andrea?
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. On behalf of the Opera for All Voices Consortium, I'm pleased to announce 2 additional commissions and a podcast for Opera for All Voices, Stories of Our Time. The teams behind these commissions were selected through an invitational process adjudicated by a jury of 12 accomplished individuals working in opera, moderated by the dramaturg at San Francisco Opera, Kip Crana. The first of these commissions is The Pigeon Fancier, to be composed by David Hanlon from a libretto by Stephanie Fleischman. The Pigeon Fancier promises to be a whimsical tale of seemingly isolated people who discover unexpected connections and create community. With The Pigeon Fancier, this team invites us to imagine what it's like to have a smooth news conference. But more importantly, what happens when we embrace our similarities rather than our differences, refuting the tendency to see the other rather than each other. The second commission is This Little Light of Mine, Chandler Carter, composer, and Diana Solomon Glover, librettist. This team was drawn to a true life story of civil rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer, who in 1964 at the Democratic National Convention brought the civil rights struggle in Mississippi to the attention of the entire nation during a televised session at the convention, and sadly, in this moment of triumph in activism, was yet to face a series of personal tragedies, yet still tied to the pervasive racism in the Deep South. Of the works commissioned last May, both teams have been hard at work. Sweet Potato Kicks the Sun, composed by Augusta Reed Thomas with a libretto by Leslie Dunton Downer, will receive its premiere with the Santa Fe Opera in October of 2019. And Postville, Hometown to the World, Laura Kaminsky composer, from a libretto by Kimberly Reed, is slated to premiere at San Francisco Opera in 2020. Now, in the spirit of all voices, social media phenomenon and acclaimed beatbox artist Nicole Paris has been invited to join Sweet Potato Kicks the Sun as the lead artist. Of Miss Paris, Augusta Reed Thomas has remarked, "I see opera as embracing diverse musical traditions, artists, and audience members. My collaboration with Nicole Paris has been and will continue to be one of the most important partnerships in my life." And from Miss Paris, "After meeting Augusta Reed Thomas, I know we would awaken the universe with new music." I hardly do either one of these women justice in reading their words. I invite you to explore both of them further, both via our website and Miss Paris via her wild canon of music and postings on social media and YouTube. And she's, at this moment, posting a new video. For those of you wanting something more immediate, I suggest that we get into the time machine and return to the present. The first episodes of season 1 of a new podcast, Key Change, produced by Andrea Klender, with theme music by Renee Orth and graphic design by David Towsley, will be available starting Friday, June 29th, 2018. 6 more episodes will follow weekly, beginning Wednesday, July 11th. We hope that you will enjoy listening in as we explore the creation of new operas, their connection to our industry, our communities, our future, and as Mr. MacKay says pretty regularly, in opera, always expect the unexpected. We will now play for you the trailer for season 1.
Okay, you start.
Backstage.
Front of house.
Brunhilde.
Making opera.
Bravissimo.
Operaphilia?
Opera 2.0.
Okay, hold on.
I'm Andrea Walters.
My name is Brandon Neal.
In January of 2016, opera companies from all over the United States started a conversation.
Trying to figure out how to create new works for smaller stages, alternative spaces at major opera companies.
Could we develop works that speak to a broader audience?
And how can we be the leaders in showing that diversity is a huge plus?
Opera for All Voices, will that resonate?
What if we fail?
Of course we're going to fail. That's how we learn. What if we succeed?
Then we have a lot more work to do.
What if we keep imagining?
It's infinite.
Key change?
Key change.
A new podcast brought to you by the Santa Fe Opera and Opera for All Voices.
Season 1 dropping June 29th, 2018.
As you can see, there is much to look forward to. And yes, my motto is, in opera as in life, always expect the unexpected, particularly when you're dealing with technology. So thank you very, very much, Robert and Andrea, and thank you all for joining us today. At this point, we say farewell to our Facebook followers. Videos shown at today's news conferences, or some which you did not see, will be posted on our website and also on our Facebook page following this live stream. Press releases regarding the information covered today can be found on our website's Media Lounge, and a video of today's news conference will also be made available on our website tomorrow. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you as our 2018 season rolls forward and, of course, into the future.